Okay, welcome everybody to Wall Street Reporter's Investors this stream, where we bring you those stocks which have that 10x to 100x upside potential. We've had a whole bunch of them in the past 12 months. We're going to find out if FCO, Fabled Silver Gold, is going to be that next 10 bagger plus. There's some exciting news on the gold front today from Peter. So Peter, welcome back.
Thank you very much, Jack. And actually, I managed to get some hats came in, so I'm wearing one today.
These are going to be collector's items. You know, if the
Well,
stock is $10, this is going to be big on eBay.
Well, the big problem is, Jack, is it's Fabled Silver Gold Corp. Now the question is it now going to be Fabled Gold Silver Corp? Not a bad problem to have.
No, it's very interesting, the news today. So just for anybody that's new, and I want to keep today's, the kind of this, the format today. Really, again, we try to make it accessible for like laymen. I do have a link in the video description below for people who want all the technical details, so they can, and it's like open for just the average person, so they can understand exactly what's going on, because it looks like some big news. So to start off with, you essentially FCO, you're exploring for silver, right? You have this thesis that there's a major silver deposit there. So there's silver, and we can talk about the historic thing. But you had the drill results, which you just announced yesterday. Is you got, I wrote here, you found you intercepted 22 grams per ton of high-grade gold. So I had to look up how many grams are per ounce, because I don't know grams. So it's almost a full American ounce. It's about $1,800, let's say $1,700. Is that, assuming there's the rest of the places like that, is that an economic mine, gold mine?
Yeah, an underground gold mine. I'd say if you're mining just narrow vein, which we're not, but if you're mining narrow vein, you'd probably want a grade of say 7 grams, 7.5 grams, Jack. So it definitely exceeds that
by 3x.
By 3x, yes, sir.
Of course, it doesn't mean that the rest of it could be more, could be less. This is part of the whole fun of what you're doing.
Yeah. Okay. Fun. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Lots of fun.
So this has been an upside surprise. I guess were you expecting to find this type of high grade? Were you expecting to find any gold or this type of high grade? Like, what does this mean? Like in terms, just for perspective, like what is this? How big of a deal is this?
Okay. So a little bit of background is, we took this property on, and people heard me say from day one, one of the reasons I came out of retirement and everything else, because this was one of these properties that I've been looking for all my life, and high-end epithermal deposit. And these high-end epithermal deposits, as I mentioned previously, by the time you find them, they're usually all mined out. The Spaniards had got them, or the Mexicans, or the Gambazinos, or the big companies have them, the Grupo Mexicos, the Pinoles, the Fresnios, Carlos Slim has them, et cetera, et cetera. So we took this on based on, it was bonanza silver, very high grade. Typically in these types of systems, if you kind of look at temperature-wise, at the very top you have gold, and then you go from gold to silver, and then downwards into your base metals. To the point where in historical drilling, which was about 9,600 meters before we got involved, and remember that number because that was 4 years of drilling for 9,600 meters. And they had a total of, I think it was four or six, I think it was four, no, it was 5 holes historically that they actually had, fairly high grade gold in them, but there was always a silver component to it, more than less. And these were rare, and they're very narrow widths, 0.3 of a meter, 0.4 of a meter, or whatever. And what we hit is completely different. You're getting gold over big widths, like we just announced, yesterday 14.4 meters, which contained 4.95 or almost 5 grams of gold, of which you could chop it down into smaller pieces of higher grade if you want, but very small silver component. So it's a different beast. What is really interesting is, and I've given the technical talk yesterday about, people have heard me talk about structures and this and this and this, but anyways, I referenced some scientific papers from our neighbor next door on what's going on. And this hasn't been seen. Like, this hasn't been seen in this camp at all. It hasn't been seen by our neighbors. It hasn't been seen by us, Jack. You can say
this type of high grade gold has not been a strike has not been seen.
No,
and this is historically for 400 years. This district basically has been producing lots of silver.
Lots of silver, and if there's byproduct, it would be some lead and some zinc, if anything. And so, where's it coming from? Is it a different source? Is it a whole different type of deposit? I personally think what I'm seeing, I would classify it as hydrothermal rather than epithermal. And hydro, it's derived from an intrusive source, and this is liberated gold from intrusive. So there may be some sort of gold-bearing porphyry at depth or something that's giving up these gold, and the gold gets you create the structure, and then the gold gets mobilized and it fills the structures.
So what does it mean? Does that mean there's a lot more? There's a massive deposit of gold further down? I mean,
well, it depends how long the roots are.
Right.
Usually, where these come from, the porphyry would be of the lower grade, and then as it telescopes out upwards, the grade concentrates more and more, Jack. Okay. And so, what depth is that at? I have no idea. I do know that when we did our IP survey, we were looking down 500 meters underground, and there was no intrusive at 500 meters. We would have seen it. So it looks like this thing is going to have big roots.
Okay, so basically, I guess, well, the whole point of the drilling program is to find out what's there, and to prove out this, this theory that you have about, originally was the big silver deposit, but it could be, we could be looking at gold as well.
Yeah, no. So we started off, we had a very high grade resource of about 4 million tons and 2 categories with an average grade of about 355 grams per ton silver equivalent. And that was our, if you want to call it the maiden or the base block that we were building on when we began our drilling. And if you go back to my previous comment, Jack, that the previous operators over a period of 4 years drilled 9,600 meters. Okay, we started drilling in December.
You've done that in a few months already, basically.
Well, yeah, we're getting there. Yeah, let's put it this way: within a year since we started drilling, which was we started in December, we will certainly exceed that amount by quite a bit. And you've noticed we've increased the drill program by another 5,000 meters. And the reason why we've done that is 2 or 3 things. Number one is we believe that we have targeted the structural controls of this gold body. That's number one. Number two, it's an exceptional thing to find, and we're very keen on seeing that. Number 3 was that given how much we still have to drill to the west, and we're drilling minimum 3 holes per fence, and we step out 75 meters every time going west, that under the previously announced 8,000 meter drill program, we wouldn't have had enough meterage to cover it all. So I certainly want to make sure, with this 5,000 meters, that we can do the proper job. And then finally, and really important, not only do the grades received to date confirm, that this has high grade gold in it, but we've looked at the core visually, and we like what we see. And so let's find out, just how big this puppy is.
Okay. Let's get to some questions. But okay, so you're expanding the by 5,000 meters. So that's a big commitment. So it means, I mean, to me that kind of indicates that you're expecting this to be pretty serious.
Oh, I do. And what will happen after 5,000 meters? Now, maybe it'll take me 6,000 meters or 7,000 meters, but it'll be somewhere around there, 7,000 meters later, that we're going to come out with a new resource estimate. And I think people are going to be quite shocked of how fast this has grown from the original, 4 million ounce mark as our maiden threshold to where we've brought it basically in a period of a year. And if you remember, Jack, when we originally talked, the first time you and I talked, I said, I'm kind of like a vampire hunter. I like to take a property and drive a stake right through its heart as fast as I can to kill it. Because why waste your time?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah. You get it right away. So nobody wants to wait around 5 years. They're going to get they're going to know if this thing is is 10 bagger or 100 bagger quickly.
Yeah, and I don't want to waste my time. I mean, if there's nothing there, I'll go back and sit on the beach or something like that. But
okay, so what the good news is, this is basically, so bottom line is this is kind of like going to be like, I mean, I don't know if it's a binary event, but there's going to be, people are going to get results very quickly. It's not going to be one of these things where it's an ongoing story for the next 20 years.
Oh God, no. I would not waste the shareholders' money, my time and effort, the team's time and effort, in prolonging something. There's a saying that, and people heard me say enough sayings, but you can't make a mine out of something that's not. So you might as well find out right away at the beginning. Does this have the qualifications to be a mine and to be economically feasible? And I think we'll be getting close to that answer, a year after we took on the property. And that by itself is pretty remarkable, because on the normal rule of thumb, Jack, and for anybody that's listening, is the usual cycle from an exploration play to development to putting it into production is about 8 years. That's normal. And I'd say right now in the 1 year mark, we probably would have been in the 3 or 3.5 year mark in the old way of doing it, because we're being very aggressive, right? And we'll find out very shortly.
So the takeaway is that based on what you just said, basically within the next 12 months, we're going to have a result of some sort.
Oh, it'll be more than 12 months. It'll be, in an ideal world, I would like to say, and don't count on this, but in an ideal world, even if drilling's ongoing, I would have a new resource study come out, say effective for an example, December 31st, 2021, which is basically a year after we took the property on. Even though we may be still drilling at that time, but you're not going to include those results into your findings. And you come out, and probably by the time third party does the results, March 2022, you'd have a new resource report out.
Okay, so it's gonna be quick. Okay, let's get to some questions, audience questions. Amanda asking, Peter, which of the upcoming fence? Should we pull up the slides?
Yeah, absolutely.
Which of the upcoming fences will hit the plunge of the hypothermal gold deposits? Okay, so let's go to the. Okay, and Peter, and just tell me where you want me to pull up.
Right by the arrow on that picture right there, Jack.
Okay.
Yeah, if you just zoom in on that.
Okay.
So if you kind of want a kind of a way to think of this, and I'm going to be coming out with new graphics to explain this in our next results of holes, because there's stuff that I want to explain, and this is getting redefined as we find out more information. But the tip of the iceberg, so to speak, was hole number 20, and then hole number 22, which we stepped out 75 meters to the west, hit again. Now, if you look, we're drilling 3 fences. We're drilling hole 22, which you can see there in red on the top, and then underneath it, hole 23 and hole 24. Now, if you look at hole 21, where the structure was there, but there wasn't any gold, and there's low-grade silver. And what happened? And there's a reason, faulting and everything else. I won't get technical on it. But you ask yourself, why in the name of goodness would I drill a hole below hole 22 if I didn't think I was going to hit, given that the other 2 to the east did not hit? There must be a reason. And then further to that, after drilling hole 23, if I had no success, why would I be brain dead enough to drill another hole deeper into the system? There must be some rationale behind this, and there is. So we have systematically, we're continuing onwards. We're on hole, I believe it's hole 28 now. So on one fence going down is holes 22, 23, 24. 75 meters to the west, Jack, we're drilling holes number 25, 26, 27. Then we step out another 75 meters to the west, and presently we have completed hole 27, and we're drilling hole 28.
So this is where the yellow arrows are.
That's right, yeah. Okay. And the grade seems to be increasing as we're going in that direction.
Okay. Next question here. Edward's asking, can you take a rough guess on how much silver equivalent has been added to the overall resource calculation?
I know what I have in my head, and I always do. They call it geofantasizing of how big this thing could be or not. But you know what? I'd get myself in a lot of trouble if I came out and gave you a number right now. So I'll just I'll hold off on that. But guys, you're not going to have to wait very long. You can figure it out probably yourself, and I can give you some mathematics if you want to do it. I mean, here's some math. You use the math, okay, Jack, and you can figure this out. Although make sure you got the calculator at this time.
Oh, the calculator, okay.
If you took a slice of ground, and let's say it's 10 meters, we'll use easy numbers, okay? So let's say it's 10 meters wide. Okay? Think of a rectangle. It's 10 meters wide. It's 500 meters long, and it goes to a depth of 500 meters. Okay, a rectangle like that, a slice, right? The specific gravity of the rock that we're drilling is approximately 3. So you go the height times width times the length gives you a number, times the specific gravity or how much the rock weighs, which is 3, and that gives you how many tons. Take that tons number, how many tons you get, multiply it by the grade that you think is reasonable that I've been displaying. And maybe you want to use gold over that 500 meters. So if you want to use 7 grams of gold or 5 grams of gold or whatever, take that and multiply it by those grams or convert them to ounces and multiply it. And that would tell you how many ounces contained in a sliver that's 10 meters wide, 500 meters long, 500 meters deep. You'd be surprised. You'd be very surprised.
If anybody has done the math, please put it up in the comment section. Okay.
I remember the last time you did some math on the 5-1.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're going to talk about that spin-off later. An update. We'll do the update on the copper thing. It's good. Sure. Okay. Edward's asking again, if holes drill at minus 225 meters are hitting a low-grade zone, what are your expectations for holes 20 to 24 at 275, so deeper?
Well, I would expect it to hit. I would expect hole 23 to hit. And I expect that there's a vertical fault between holes. Let me see if I can get this straight. Holes, because this is where it gets structurally complicated. If you can, well, actually, you know what? If you want the answer for that, Jack, later on, if you show them that link to that structural talk that I gave the other day.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's in the video. It's in the description of the video. Anybody can click afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So Mike's saying, Peter, your last prediction of those assays in about 7 to 10 days was spot on. How many days till the next?
I would think in Canada next Monday coming is a holiday. So I would expect on Tuesday of next week, we'll probably have underground drill results coming out. We should have them in the next day or two. Following that, there should be surface drill results coming out. And for those of you that want to know, and I'll say this, I'm totally transparent about this, holes 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, all of those holes that have been submitted for assay have all been submitted on a rush basis. So I'm paying a little bit extra for a faster turnaround, but I want to see what the number is as much as you do.
Okay. Okay. So some news coming up. Okay. Amanda's asking. Okay. So once we're done with the southwest corner of the property, which area looks most promising after that?
Okay. So when we finish drilling to the west, there's going to have to be a few questions asked within the technical team. And the first question is, to the depth that we've drilled, especially in the gold zone, is it still open or is it still going strong? And as part of the negotiations I did with the drill contractor to extend the 5,000 meters, one of the questions I asked them is, do you have the capability of doing a wedge hole? And what that means, Jack, is imagine I drill a hole that's 450 meters, okay, long. And this hole, my target is at 400 meters. So now I want to drill underneath that. Now I don't want to start at surface again and drill another hole that's going to have to be 600 meters to intercept the same structure at depth. So what you do is you re-enter the hole that's 450 meters long. You re-enter the hole. You put your drill bit down the hole, say down to 200 or 250 meters or 300. That's a calculation you have to do. And of course, you didn't pay for that, right? So I just saved myself, $100 a meter basically for 30 or for 300 meters. So that's $3,000 or more I've saved myself there. And you put a wedge, and it looks like a wedge. It's something, Jack. It's like it's metal, and I won't explain how it works, but it kind of reminds you of a door stop.
Okay.
And so the drill bit hits that, and it deflects off of that, and will drill on a different angle, drill deeper. And so now the length of the hole that I have to drill in reality is probably only 150 meters rather than drilling a 650 meter hole. So that'll be evaluated to see, should we drill deeper in some of these? Because you'd hate to be, some of your best holes are your deepest holes, and you leave it hanging there. I mean, it's good for promotional purposes, but I'm not that. I want to see what's there. So that's going to be a possibility. There's within the resource area that was calculated. There's holes in that, big gaps of holes that have to be filled in. And then if everybody remembers the north-south structure, we got one really good hole into that, and that has not been followed up, and that's open in both directions. And so that has to be followed up sooner or later. So we'll see.
Okay. So Utesh is a big fan of the wedge. Is the wedge, is it called horizontal drilling? Is that a different term? What is it? Wedge?
Oh, wedge. No. Wedge has been going on for a while. And actually, you'll find this funny. I lived in Val-d'Or, Quebec, as you probably know. It's called, which means Valley of Gold. Lived there for about 25 years, worked in various mines and exploration and everything else. And to the north or northeast, there's an area called Chibougamau, just before you get up in the middle of nowhere in the James Bay. And the Wedge, a drill company from Chibougamau, actually invented the wedge. And so when you talk about putting a wedge in a drill hole, you're going to be talking about using a Shibugamu wedge. So there's that.
Good name.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see. Let me just see if I can catch up to a couple of the questions. Southwest. Okay. Did our neighbors sign the CA and come over and see the property yet?
They've been over without the CA and signed. The chap's boss, Roberto, his boss is on vacation, but he'll get it signed type of thing. And we said, no, sorry, we can't see anything until you bring that over. So he said his boss is back next week, and he'll come over with the signed CA. So you'll hear about when it does happen.
Okay, so the additional 5,000 meters of drilling that you just announced, will this be dedicated to continuing the current program, or will some of this be considered a transition towards defining the resource?
That's truly a great question, honestly. I hope it's all going to be used for doing the current exploration program and not defining the resource, because I know that sounds contradictory, but that means I'm having a lot of fun doing my exploration, and I'm getting good results, and I don't want to stop, because you can always come back later and fill in those holes if you want. So I don't know, but if X number of meters suits the bill and does what we want to do to the west, then as we go back east, and as I told you, try to keep the drill moves as close as possible and everything else because of cost. We'll do some infill drilling on the way to the north-south structure and everything else, Jack.
Okay. Are we close to receiving the top secret news?
You are. Just bear with me. All good things come in time. And you got to remember, and I mean no offense to this to anybody, but when you're in mañana in Mexico, it's a funny thing. You hear mañana, tomorrow. But then there's another question you always ask people. Like if I asked you, Jack, when will I see you tomorrow? And you go mañana, which means tomorrow, which could be any time tomorrow. Who knows? So a lot of times you ask, mañana and mañana. So is it tomorrow in the morning or tomorrow rapido? It's where is it? So I'm just going to say mañana.
Okay. So let's see. Okay, let's see if we have any other questions here. Okay. So I think so let's kind of recap. So I think let's finish off on any update on the copper spinoff, and just again, there's going to be a spinoff. Is it and when is it's going to be 1 share of the copper asset for every 5 shares, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah, I've been told that. Well, they're trying, and it's out of my hands. The money's already been received from the shareholders that's participating in the financing for Fabled Copper. Just a matter of getting the lawyers to do a few things. They're trying to accomplish everything this Thursday, so 2 days time.
Okay.
That being the case, then I would dare say 10 days to 2 weeks later, you'll see a news release out setting the date for the special meeting of shareholders and everything else.
Okay.
And also that going forwards. Again, in full disclosure to the shareholders of Fabled Silver, that this Saturday, January 31st or July 31st, I'm jumping on a plane and heading to the Copper Mountains, and I'll be there for a week. So I'm going to have a lot of double duty. It's a good thing I'm on East Coast time, so I always get up at 4 or 5, so I'll probably be getting up at 1 or 2 Pacific time in the morning to deal with Fabled Silver in Mexico, and then at 7 o'clock jumping on a chopper and hanging rock for the rest of the day and hiking mountains, and then back trying to put out fires. So it's going to be a long week for me.
Okay, so you'll be in BC for a while.
For a week. Yeah.
For a week. Okay. Okay. When are you going to Mexico?
That'll be my next trip. So as soon as I get this one out of the way, I cross that one on the list, and then I have to schedule the one to Mexico. And when I do go to Mexico, it'll be much, much, much longer than a week. Believe me.
Okay, so the copper spin-off is a nice little catalyst. Again, that's getting closer and closer now. That's basically within potentially a few months. People could be getting their shares. You got the gold, this high-grade gold result. There's a lot of good things happening. Peter, to kind of again in a nutshell, like from a layman's perspective, what would you say, in your opinion, right now, based on everything out there, what would you say the top 3 reasons why somebody should consider FCO if they haven't heard of it before?
Oh gosh, the easiest way, I think, and everybody else is one, and everybody's heard this before. You're undervalued. You hear people say that and everything else, but this truly is. What do you get? You get a high-grade silver deposit, and you get a high-grade gold discovery next to a 600 million ounce silver producer that's been going 600 years plus. So that's number one. Number 2, for every 5 shares you own silver, you're going to get a freebie, or like you said, Jack, you're going to basically a 20% dividend if you want to look at it that way. So and that actually offsets your cost on the Fabled silver side of what your base cost is. So you're going to get that. And then both companies extremely well cashed up. Treasuries are right. And then rumor has it, I supposedly know what the heck I'm doing. So I guess those would be the main reasons.
Okay. A quick question. What's cash in the bank right now? From warrant exercise.
Cash in the bank is 4.4 million. No extra warrants have been exercised that we know of. There still remains over $3 million of warrants to be exercised, and they have till December 2022.
So there's enough cash on hand to get you through this the drilling program right now.
Oh yeah. I would never call the drill program if I didn't have the money, Jack. I would never say I'm going to go do a drill.
No, and the extra 5,000 meters also. We're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, so everything is set up. Okay, what else? Last question. Any other news that people can look forward to the next couple of weeks?
Well, we're going to be trying some new ways to reach out to the public and do stuff. Someone pointed out yesterday, and I think we're the only company that I've always tried to be transparent and everything else. Every news release within the company, we do an update on that news release, and it's more technical and everything else. So we do that, and I mean that takes a lot of time for me to do that. The graphics,
like a geology lesson. It's like preparing.
Well, yeah, and all those graphics you see in the news release and everything else, I've written that. I've written that and designed all those graphics and everything else. And so that's very unique, and I'm doing it more for the shareholder for them to understand. And then every couple of weeks we do FAQ, frequently asked questions, that people follow, and they bring it to my attention, and then we look at 12 or 13, and we pick 5, and we answer people's questions. So we're trying to keep everyone informed, and I don't want anyone to invest in the company without being informed. I want you to be informed and make informed decisions, and so we will continue to do that as it develops, and we will use that same philosophy with Fabled Copper Corporation.
Okay, excellent. Peter, on that note, I want to thank you, and thank you everybody for joining us. We'll see you on the next exciting update of FCO very soon.
Okay, now I take my hat off to you.
Now you can. Yeah, now you can take it off.
There you go.
And those are going to be available, right, for shareholders. They can buy those hats, right, on the website. Can they buy them?
I don't know, but send a note in.
Okay, because that's going to be a hot seller, I think. Talk to you soon. Thank you, Peter.
Thanks, Jack. Bye.